Hi, this is Adam from the classroom. In this video, we will discuss addition and subtraction. To begin, let's get oriented with the four basic operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. These are considered as the four rules mentioned in the 0580 syllabus in C 1.8 and E 1.8 at the time of this recording. Since multiplication and division are larger concepts, they'll need to get their own videos. I'll have them linked in the card on the top right when they've been published. For now, let's begin with addition. At this stage, you should be able to conduct simple addition, so this will be an overview. We'll be looking at the following examples to recap on our understanding and fill in any minor gaps. First and foremost, we should ensure that when we are going to answer the question, we write it accurately in its long form. We do this by lining up the numbers according to their place value. If you're not sure about place values, you can find a card at the top right that'll take you to a video so that you can refresh on the concept. After we know we've lined everything up correctly, we can start adding. We do this from the right-hand side. Remember, if you want to be right, you should start from the right. Adding progressively, we arrive at our final answer of 598. Addition won't always be this easy, of course. Looking at the next example, we can line up the numbers and begin, though when we add 9 and 3, we get 12. Now, if we write 12, the 1 will cover the tens place for the answer, so we need to carry it above the highest tens place number, which is 8. Now we can add all the tens place numbers together, 1 plus 8 plus 7. Which gives us 16. It's a good habit to cross out the carried number after you've used it. Now we arrive at the same problem we had earlier, where the 1 in 16 will cover the hundreds place. So we keep the 6 below and put the 1 above the highest hundreds place number. Continuing to add, we do 1 plus 1, which gives us 2, and we've answered the question. The final answer is 262. In the next question, we line the numbers up and start adding. When we get to the hundreds place, we get 15. We do the same thing we did last time, keeping the 5 below and adding the 1 to the next place value above. Though now there are no numbers in the thousands place, so the 1 falls right back down, giving us the answer of 1595. Forgetting to carry the digit to the next decimal place is a common mistake, so it's important to be careful and double check your working just to be sure. So, practice questions? Take a minute and answer these yourself. Then we'll go through them together. So for the first one, we take and line up the numbers, adding up 4 plus 2 giving us 6, 3 plus 6 giving us 9, and 1 plus nothing giving us 1, leaving us with a final answer of 196. Pretty easy to start. Going for the second one, we see that when we add 3 and 9, we get 12. So remember, we write 12 below and carry the 1 above. Then we start adding for the tens column. 1 plus 7 gives us 8, and 8 plus 2 gives us 10. So we leave the 0 of the 10 below, carry the 1 up. 1 plus 4 gives us 5, and we come to our final answer of 502. In the final question, we go through as usual. When we get to the tens column, we get 13, leaving the 3 below and carrying the 1 above into the next column. We continue to get 12, leaving the 2 below and carrying 1 up. Then we see there's nowhere for the 1 to stay, so it just drops back down, leaving us with a final answer of 1235. All good? If you need to loop back and try again, go for it. You can even make up a couple of questions, answer them yourself, and check on a calculator. You can continue when you're solid on addition. Alright, so next up, it's subtraction, somewhat unsurprisingly. The setup for subtraction is the same as addition, except for the obvious symbol change. Knowing that, let's dive into some examples. So to begin, we set it up as we do with addition, and we start looking to subtract the numbers. We do 9 minus 2, which leaves us with 7, 8 minus 7, leaving us with 1, and 1 minus nothing, allowing the 1 to come straight down, giving us a total answer of 117. Now when we start lining up the second question, we see a problem immediately. We can't subtract 5 from 0. This is because A, 0 is smaller than 5, and B, the top number is bigger than the bottom, so we know the answer should be positive. So to do the subtraction, we need to borrow from the next column. Removing 1 from the 6 makes it a 5. This one attaches to the 0, making it a 10, allowing us to continue. 10 minus 5 is 5. Leave that below. Looking to continue, we see that 5 is smaller than 7, so we need to borrow yet again. We take 1 from the 3, leaving it as a 2, and give it to the 5, making it 15. 15 minus 7 is 8. Then we see that 2 minus nothing allows the 2 to come straight down. This gives us a final answer of 285. The last one after the setup gives us the same problem, but with an interesting new twist. Now, when we look to the left, we can't borrow anything from a 0 because the 0 is empty. So, first, the 0 in the tens place needs to borrow from the 2. It takes 1 from the 2, leaving it as 1, and becomes 10 itself. Now, our 0 in the ones place can borrow from this 10, leaving it as 9, making itself 10. Now we can do 10 minus 7, giving us 3, 9 minus 5, giving us 4, and 1 minus 1, leaving us with 0, giving us a final answer of 43. Now we need to remember that borrowing is possible and that you can only borrow from the number immediately to the left. If that number is 0, like we saw with the last example, then it needs to borrow first before you can borrow from it. Ready for some questions? If you aren't, run it back. Sorted? Great. Let's look at the following questions. Try them out and then come back to check. The first question we can get through pretty easily, so I won't dwell on it too much. The second is a little bit more fun. We see immediately that we can't subtract 9 from 8, so we borrow from 6. Removing 1 from 6 leaves it as a 5. Giving the 1 to 8 makes it 18. This leaves us with 9 below. Going to the next column, we need to borrow again. We take the 1 from the hundreds column and make 5 into 15. Subtracting gives us 8, leaving us with a final answer of 89 because the hundreds column is empty. The last question doesn't allow us to borrow from the next number. So, first the tens column 0 must borrow from the 6, making it 10 so that the ones column 0 can borrow. Leaving it as 9, we can continue. 10 minus 7 gives us 3. In the next column, we subtract to get 2, and in the final column, we get 1, giving us a final answer of 123. Mastering these fundamentals is essential if you plan on doing well in the exams, so practice until you're confident. Moving on, we can look at addition and subtraction using decimal numbers. This is the same as doing it with integers. The only thing to consider is the decimal point, which, if you're solid on place values, should come naturally. Look at these examples. We can line up the decimals in a column of its own and progress as normal. The decimal follows in the same column into the answers. Sometimes with decimal questions, we have numbers that go to different decimal places. Here, the first number goes to the tenths place, and the second goes to the hundredths place. Knowing this, we align the numbers as normal and fill in the gaps with zeros to make the process a bit easier. The same goes for the third example. Alright, so let's do a final set of example questions to close the video off. Take a moment and continue when you're ready. So for the first one, we see that all goes well in the addition. We add 5 and 8, giving us 13. So we carry the 1 as normal and add it to the 2 to give us the final answer of 33.6. The second one is alright. After aligning the numbers and filling in the gaps, we go through the motions as we did with other subtraction questions, following a similar structure but now with a decimal point that drops into the answer. And for the third one, it's more of the same, lining them up, filling in the gaps, and proceeding as usual. not forgetting to drop the decimal point down into the answer. For notes, I'd say you just need to remember the rule of thumb. Always align according to place values. Make sure to practice a lot so that these procedures are second nature to you. Remember to align the decimals together and fill in any gaps you find. And finally, if you have an integer being added or subtracted with a decimal, align the numbers as normal. Then, add the decimal for the integer and fill in the gaps. Thank you for watching, and I hope this video was of help to you. Take care, and I'll see you next time in the classroom.